not one of the bad for years or whatever. Like, that's silly. It's this reliance on something that this particular course of action will help me achieve the end, which is not getting, um, less rational. Um, Another example. I'm getting like 55 out of here. I get like 55. I did get the flu this year, though, not mistaken. So sometimes I get the flu. That's kind of it's, but there may be different reasons that I get the flu shot. One of those reasons is like the news tells you to, your tells you to. Is that evidence? Arguably, it's not totally evidence, right? It's not really rooted in experience. It's not rooted in a collection of data, perhaps. It's based on something else. It's based on the authority that is like healthcare, including your own healthcare. But maybe it's also kind of less rational, but it makes it less rational, makes it less tied to evidence. So rationality can be a matter of degree. We can make decisions that maximize utility, that the end of utility, based on that are alternative bases for that. These can include things like authority, habit, belief, ritual, superstition, all different kinds of things can help us achieve the end. So you feel like that. Still the end of human action maximize benefit by the cost. Question is how we get it. One way of getting there is through evidence. Some ways of getting there that are maybe a little bit rational, or maybe not rational at all, like the knocking on wood. Um, I try to not speak ill of the dead. I don't have any evidence that speaking ill of the dead will do bad things to me, but I'm not going to risk it. So something I just do. I try my best not to speak ill of the dead. Except here, it's like here, it's sort of yeah. Some, but like people, and they pass away. Try not like really like to emphasize their good elements, their bad elements. I don't know evidence that pursuing that course of action is going to achieve each individuality. Like I'm not getting on to that. I don't know. But the mechanism is not rationality. It's something else. It's something else. I told my kid, my 3-year-old in particular, it's not like mess with the oven. When don't mess with the oven. So now she has not touched the hot oven because I told her don't touch the oven. So she has to, bless her heart, she's 3, she's trying to figure out rationality. You're trying to prevent her from having to figure it out based on it. Once you do that, won't do it. But in the meantime, I want her to take some authority. I want her to make a not rational decision that it will achieve the end of the ability. It's like not hurting her name. What's the so come to your mind? Based on all this out of mind. It's damn. It's songs, exterminated heaven, not knowing. Yeah, so what is the end of utility songs? Like that's another people. It's just bad luck. Just bad luck. Yeah, there's all different kinds of right? There's walking under ladders, there's bad luck in all different kinds. Like do you have candidates that walking under a ladder will breaking a mirror are going to do bad things? Like maybe you do, which means like that. But if you don't, then that's just not based on it, not based on rationality. It's based on something clear. It's not me. Crazy. Oh, comes from me. We do a lot of things based on tradition. Church it makes it. Good church that makes it. It helps us achieve an end, which is sort of like fulfilling the ritual, I suppose. But the reason you do it is to maximize, well, these things kind of good, but it's not like the basis of a lot of things based on. 60 years ago, who would use crystals as like guides for play. And when this came up, it was like, well, how rational are the crystals? People have different crystals. On the rationality, she did not think that using crystals all that well, but she excluded anyway, because the end was utility. There are all the bases. It's not just that things can be more or less rational. And there are some factors that affect the degree to which a choice is rational, that affect the extent to which relying on evidence is actually what you're doing. These include the quality of the evidence, the proximity of the evidence, how close you are to the evidence, and the care with which the evidence is processed. So again, SKIM's all about collecting really high quality evidence, being as close to the evidence as possible to analyze it effectively and process it and then consider it as carefully as we can. That's why science is considered the highest grade possible of rationality. That's what we're trying to do. But there are all different kinds of other factors that can affect the care with which evidence is processed. A piece of evidence that a particular course of action will help you achieve not the maximizing state, it's perhaps like inventor. That is a really nice piece of evidence that you have now very good Smith. And or maybe the presence of police in the neighborhood. You can see it. See the police there. Proximate evidence. You can see the game. It's proximate evidence. The quality of the evidence in the character, if you're too drunk or stoned or stupid, be able to process that evidence effectively, your decision is going to be left out. You're going to be relying on things other than evidence when you make the decision, say whether or not, when you make the choice, whether or not. So this is basically how the process works. So you have sort of less rational, and then you have more rational evidence. So there's more evidence, more rational. So all you can move this maximize the utility box like way over here, and make it like it's more efficient having a more rational decision than predicated on evidence. If you have a less rational decision, it will still be less efficient. Make this line longer. Make it like oh, it's not good. The goal though is still the same, which is to maximize. So when we think about crime, when we think about the evidence that surrounds crime, it relates to many of the things we've already talked about. A person can have all different kinds of evidence surrounding the choice that maximizes utility, whether or not crime. You can have proximate or vicarious, proximate or vicarious knowledge about harder versus softer targets. You have knowledge about how to avoid detection. You can have personal experience with regards to the experiences of others that relate to this, be personal as well as vicarious. Pieces of evidence that you can use in the choice of maximizing utility via the commission of crime. And it can be more or less rational if you're relying more or less on these pieces of evidence. We've also talked about, in the context of deterrence and rational choice, the notion of the experience of punishment. The experience of punishment, having been arrested, trial, punished, convicted, that is a key piece of evidence that can be used in a rational sense in the calculation of your criminal choice. That can be taken in and considered. And we also mentioned the possibility of avoiding crime. You do the thing and you get away with it. It's evidence. Like I do the same thing. I'm smiling and I get the camera's not working. I wear a mask or something else like basically invisible. Like nobody's gonna find me. Find clearance range is like really low. It's like you get away with it. That's a piece of evidence that maximizing utility via the commission is rational. Is a rational choice. If a person were to rely instead on belief, suspicion, habit, or lapse, or conviction in making the choice to commit crime, it's less certain that the crime, that choice, or maximizes utility. It's less efficient. The mechanism of getting to the end of your sleep is less certain. Deterrence theory and risk activities theory are built on this idea. Punishment, the presence of capable guardians, these are things that are evidence that can inform the rational decision whether or not to commit a crime. This is very important for understanding, again, how the individual choice to commit a crime is connected to these big social and economic conditions in a way that maybe isn't totally clear yet, but we're going to get. In order to understand this process of rationally choosing whether or not to commit choosing whether or not to commit we have to consider two other things related to choice, two other concepts related to choice. The concepts are constraints and alternatives. Constraints and alternatives. There can be factors that constrain choices. What are some factors that generally constrain choices? So what factor constrains choice is belief. It's beliefs. You can have beliefs. You can have when you have beliefs, there are fewer choices. That's a constraint on choice. A couple years ago, maybe. That was about a couple years ago. I was at a conference and I was spending time with a colleague of mine from Brigham Young University, which you don't know is a Mormon university. And we were hanging out in like the sort of general area of the hotel. Everybody's sort of drinking wine. And she's not though. She's drinking like Diet Coke. And she's not Mormon herself, by the way. You don't know if you're not allowed to drink. And however, still allowed to, because if you are a team member, Brigham Young University, you still have to abide by the conduct that everybody abides by. So even if she's off campus and not a Mormon herself, she cannot drink alcohol. And her private home, I'm not saying I don't think she can read it, her private home, on campus, doesn't matter. She doesn't have the choice to do it. To do it would be unethical. It would be a kind of breach of contract with her employer. That's a constraint on the relationship. That's a constraint on choice. There are all different kinds of other belief constraint choices. Choice. So we talk about like choice. We talk about abortion. Or like this is kind of a choice argument, and it's like that's some people that is simply not choice. The choice simply of getting an abortion simply does not exist. So belief can represent a constraint on choice. Prior choices can also constrain choice. It's not always a bad thing. Having constraints on choice is sometimes a very good thing. If you choose to drop out of high school, you have constrained your choices. By not dropping out of high school, all of you have expanded your choices. Choosing a certain career, choosing a major, that constrains your choices. The choices in which classes you take. I'm working with a student right now, fellow teachers and support work. She has to choose a topic for her master's. When you choose a topic for your master's thesis, you're blocking off all the other topics you could have chosen. You have to choose. That prior choice constrains what choices that you do. The choices that are available. Getting married, certain. Having children, certain. Place constraints on choices. I don't have the choice to be able to do whatever I want. Merton says this is a really good thing. I don't have the choice that I have to be able to do whatever I want. My day is quite a bit more structured. My prior choices will constrain my future choices. Even minor choices, daily choices that people are able to make, they're constrained in many ways by purpose. In fact, we will live differently, not something like Texas State will. Like that choice that you make, that's the thing. And it's a choice that constrains other choices that you cannot indulge in courses at Texas State. So prior choices certainly can place constraint on voter. Circumstances can also, in many different ways, place constraints on choices. Where you live, when you live, what resources you have access to, your identity, your race, your ethnicity, your gender, your age to some extent, your educational attainment, your career path, all of these circumstances place constraints on choices. So there are circumstances, there are beliefs, and there are prior choices. All of these things constrain the choices that are available to you. So the question is, what are the implications of that? How can we tie this back to the notion of crime?